Who says A? Who says B? Who says C? Who says D? You know, none of the above, or all of the above. Can they all work? In high school, I studied a language. What does that mean? What if I put a second part to this? Sometimes these tests, they give you one sentence, and then the second sentence is a different idea. But sometimes it's like a story. This is the first part, and then it continues. It was a very difficult class for me. It was very difficult. Yeah. So, now which one is the right answer? B. I studied language. I don't know, maybe. What does it mean if I studied language instead of a language? That'd be like the idea of language, right? How people learn language. We have a fancy name for that. It's called linguistics. In university, I studied language. Maybe. In my master's program, I studied language. How people learn language, how people share language, what language really is. I studied that in my master's program. In university, a little bit. In high school, no. It was way too difficult an idea for high school. So, because language, ukasuda, language, doesn't mean the same thing. In high school, I studied a language. It was a very difficult class. The language I studied was, right? When you have that context, then you know it's one language. If there's this idea, we call context, that I'm going to tell you about this language. There was one language, it was difficult. But then what the meaning is, well, in high school, you guys studied Chinese, right? We all study a language in high school. You can't go to high school without learning more about your own language. So if I don't have all of this, then in high school I studied a language, yeah, English, right? So without that context, this sentence, this doesn't make sense. I studied a language, so everybody does. What's important about that? In high school, I studied languages, right? You can go into math in high school, you can go into science, you can go have different focuses. Now, in Taiwan, we have a bit of a problem. In Taiwan, in high school, can you choose what you want to study? Can you decide, I don't want to study this class, I want to take a different class? Not really, right? You get a couple choices sometimes, but mostly in Taiwan, the teacher says what you should study. But, you know, in Western countries, in a lot of places, the students choose which classes they study, right? You know about that? Yes, no? In elementary school, not really. we take whatever classes the school has. The government says every student has to have these classes. But in high school, we get to choose. We still have to study math every year. We have to take English every year. We have to take some science every year. But we can decide, I want to study more languages, I want to study more math, I want to study more science. We can decide that. So when we come to a question like this, you see, this is a really big question. 可数不可数是很重要的, right? But also, it in part is, you have to know what the rest of the world is like. I really hate cell phones in class. Right? If you have a question, you can ask, okay? So, when it comes to countable, uncountable, often the question is, how are the words different? Remember again, why is this one wrong? Why is this one wrong? What does it mean? But you have to pay attention to the details. It's just like this, right? But in a lot of ways, it's more like this. Okay, I never get, is it this way or this way? Okay, it's this way? Okay. In Chinese, this is one word, this is a different word, right? If I forget that little line, I say something very different, right? And that's the problem here. A little line, a little detail, so small, right? But it makes a big difference to what the word means. Same thing here. Okay? Or also ed and ing, right? Those things you really need to understand in order to get them right. If it's on a test or if it's, just in writing or in talking. So, how are they different? Like boring and bored, what's the difference? Tiring and tired, what's the difference? Time, okay. If this is the past tense, right, then 过去式, it's about time. But what about when these are adjectives, like I am? Right? Now our time is here. Time is now. So, I am boring. I said I am bored. If you're saying I'm boring, then why do you come to my class? No. Why do you say bored, though? What's the difference between them? Again, it's like with the vocabulary. What do you do about this in Chinese? You see, in English, this is important. In Chinese, you also have it, but what about with verbs? When it comes to nouns, the most important thing is countable or uncountable. But when it comes to verbs, in English, the most important thing, the only thing that really matters is if it's transitive or intransitive. Okay? Transitive means you have to have an object. 一定有说辞. Okay? Intransitive have this in Chinese. That's active and passive. It's related to this, okay? In Chinese, you don't use that as much, but you do have it. This you also have. In English, I can say, I want to eat, right?